Welcome to our annual Flag Day service. Please stand for the playing of the Star Spangled Banner.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose hearts shine and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rugged red but of the bursting in air, gave through the night, that our flag was still there. So sailors that star-spangled banner yet wave. Oh, the land of the free and
Please be seated. Members and guests, the purpose of this service is to honor our country's flag and to celebrate the anniversary of its birth, and to recall the achievements attained beneath its folds. It is quite appropriate that such a service should be held by the Order of the Elks, an organization that is distinctively American, intensely patriotic, and without counterpart. Esteemed leading knight, what are the fraternal aims of the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks?
To inculcate the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity, to promote the welfare and happiness of mankind, to uphold our country and its laws, and to quicken the spirit of American patriotism.
Esteemed leading knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of the crowning virtue, charity.
Esteemed loyal knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of justice for all.
Esteemed lecturing knight, what is the significance of the American flag?
It's a symbol of brotherly love.
Lodge Esquire, what is the symbol of the American flag from the station of the exalted ruler?
It is the symbol of fidelity.
Charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity are the cardinal principles of our order, and they are exemplified in all of our services. By them, we teach the love of country and our countrymen and loyalty to the American way of life. To be an elk is to be an American citizen who lives for their country and is ready to die for it. Please stand. The chaplain will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, In this hour of patriotic observance of the birthday of the American flag, we ask you to bless our flag and the people of these United States for all that our flag represents, both at home and abroad. We thank thee, and that through all our history as a nation, it has been an ensign of freedom, liberty, and opportunity. And through the years to come, may this flag wave as the banner of liberty, freedom, and enlightenment. May this service bring to each of us a sense of loyalty to our country and enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans, to thy glory and to the honor of this great nation. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. That we may better understand the meaning of our flag, I am going to present the history of our flags. Heraldry is as old as the human race. The carrying of banners has been a custom among all peoples in all ages. These banners usually contain some concept of the life or government of those who fashioned them. The evolution of the American flag marks the progression of the government of the American people. From the founding of Jamestown in Virginia in 1607 until 1775, the flag of England was the flag of the peoples of America. In 1775, the pine tree flag was adopted for all colonial vessels, and this was the banner carried by the Continental forces in the Battle of Bunker Hill. The southern colonies from 1776 to 1777 used the snake flag. In the latter part of 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to consider the question of a single flag for the 13 colonies. That committee recommended a design of 13 alternate stripes of red and white with an azure field in the upper corner bearing the cross of St. George and the white cross of St. Andrew. John Paul Jones, the senior lieutenant of the flagship Alfred, hoisted this flag to the masthead on December 3rd, 1775, and 1 month later, it was raised over the headquarters of General Washington at Cambridge, Massachusetts, in compliment, as he wrote, to the United Colonies. This flag, called the Continental Colors and the Grand Union, was never carried in the field by the Continental land, but was used by the Navy as an exclusive ensign and was the first American flag to receive a salute of honor, a salute of 11 guns from the Fort of Orange in the Dutch West Indies. In response to a general demand for a banner more representative of our country, we see the original colonial flag. Stay there for now, please. That flag of the United States would be 13 stripes of alternating red and white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white on blue, and representing a new constellation. Thank you. It is generally believed that in May or June of 1776, a committee consisting of George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross commissioned Betsy Ross, a Philadelphia Quakeress, to make a flag from a rough design left with her. It is said that she suggested the stars be 5-pointed rather than 6. This starry banner was first flown at Fort Stanwix, called Fort Schuyler at the time, near the city of Rome, New York, on August 3rd, 1777, and under 3 days' fire later at the Battle of Orcodsee, August 6, 1777, during a British and Indian attack. The first official salute to the Stars and Stripes was given on February 4th, 1778 by France on the French coast, where the Ranger, under command of John Paul Jones, was saluted by the French fleet. This flag, then carried by the Ranger, was made by the young women of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, from the stripes of their best-colored silk dresses and the white wedding gown of a recent bride. It is said that the Ranger's flag was flown by Jones's ship, the Bonhomme Richard, in its thrilling fight by moonlight upon the high seas with the British frigate Serapis. When the Serapis struck her colors, The immortal fame of John Paul Jones was ensured as the intrepid defender of the youthful republic. The original 13 stripes and stars represented the original 13 colonies. In 1775, 2 stripes were added to represent the admission of the Union of Vermont and Kentucky, and under the banner of 15 stars and stripes, it was fought the War of 1812. It was the site of it flying over Fort McHenry on September 14th, 1814, that inspired Francis Scott Key to write what became our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Miss Margaret Young, who cut the stars for that particular banner, was the mother of Henry Sanderson, the grand exalted ruler of the Order of the Elks. The Congress, on April 14, 1818, adopted a resolution that on and after July 4, 1818, the number of stripes would be 13, and that a blue field would carry 1 star for each of the 20 states at that time, and that a new star should be added for each state thereafter. Since 1818, there has been no change in the flag design except that 28 new stars have been added and were added before July 4th, 1912. And so the flag with 48 states flew over this nation for 47 years until just before the Vietnam War. On July 4th, 1959, a star was added for Alaska, our first non-connected state, and a year later, Hawaii, our island state, was added to become a 50th star. Our present flag is accompanied by the POW MIA flag to recognize the plight and demise of a special group of our armed forces who were prisoners of war and still remain missing in action. Please stand and salute our flag. As this emblem is first in our hearts as loyal Americans, so it is close to our altar as loyal Elks. The gentle breezes with lingering caress kiss the folds of no flag which compare with it in beauty. There is no such red in budding rose, in falling leaf, or sparkling wine. No such white in April blossom, in crescent moon, or mountain snow. No such blue in woman's eye, in ocean's depths, or heaven's dome. And no such pageantry of clustering stars and streaming light in all the spectrum of the sea and sky. Please be seated. Our flag is at once a history, a declaration, and a prophecy. It represents the American nation as it was at its birth. It speaks for what it is today, and it holds the opportunity for the future to add other stars to the glorious constellation. The Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks is the first and only fraternal body to require formal observance of Flag Day. In July 1908, the Grand Lodge of this order at Dallas, Texas, then assembled, provided for the annual nationwide recognition of Flag Day on the 14th of June each year by making it mandatory for each lodge of the order to hold this service. This unique distinction as the strongest promoter of Flag Day is most becoming to the Order of Elks. This order is distinctively American. Only American citizens are eligible to join, and it has no foreign affiliations. It has linked its destiny with the destiny of our country and made this flag its symbol of self-dedication to God, our country, and fellow man. Please stand for the playing of God Bless America, and you may sing along if you wish.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. to the oceans wide with pride. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with love. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Please be seated. At this time, I call upon Warren Johnson, past exalted ruler of this lodge, past state president of our state association, and currently Grand Lodge trustee, for the response. Thank you.
The Stars and Stripes flag of the United States of America, the worldwide hope of all who, under God, would be free to live to do his will. Upon its fold is written the story of America, the epic of the mightiest and the noblest of all history. In the days when peoples of the old world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine right of kings, a new constellation appeared in the western skies, the Stars and Stripes, symbolizing the divine right to all life, liberty, happiness, and peace under endowment by their Creator. To what man or woman is given words adequate to tell the story of building of this nation? That immortal story is written in blood and sweat, in heroic deeds and unremitting toil, in clearing the primeval forests and planting of vast prairies where once the coyote and buffalo roamed. Onward swept the nation, spanning wide rivers, leaping vast mountains, leaving in its path villages and farms, factories and cities, till at last this giant nation stood astride the continent from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is the heritage of the people of the United States. It has been repurchased by each succeeding generation and must be re-won again, again, and again until the end of time. Lest it too shall pass like the ancient empires of Greece and Rome. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. What was won at Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill had to be repurchased at Ticonderoga and Yorktown. What John Paul Jones achieved upon the high seas in the War of Independence had to be repurchased by Commodore Perry on Lake Erie in the War of 1812. The prestige of Admiral Dewey's victory at Manila Bay in 1898 was re-won by the naval battles in the seas about the far distant islands of the Pacific after the sneak attacks upon Pearl Harbor and Manila in 1941 had summoned our country to assume its role in World War II. What our troops achieved under the Stars and Stripes at Chateau Thierry and Flanders in World War I, their sons were required to repurchase in World War II in the bloody trek across North Africa, upon the beachheads of Europe, and in the Battle of the Bulge. The flag of American men raised at Iwo Jima was the same flag later raised in defense of Incheon, Pucheon, and Pork Chop Hill in far-off Korea. Then another generation under the same flag bled to stem the threat of communism in far-off Vietnam. Our young people were again called to carry our flag in the defense of a free world in the actions in Grenada and Panama. Willingly, our brave men and women carried our flag in the honor of the American people into the battle in Operation Desert Storm. And who among us will ever forget the sight of firefighters using our flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center, the military personnel draping our flag on the side of the Pentagon, or the citizens of Somerset County, Pennsylvania, placing our flag near the site where brave Americans died fighting the hijackers of Flight Number 93. No other symbol should have offered such comfort as we still today endure the horrors of that day. Today, American armed forces carry our flag in the villages of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, and the jungles of the Philippines, and wherever terrorism may reside. Their struggle against the sponsors of terrorism is the hardest battle yet, and this threat to our nation and to our way of life is certainly as great a challenge as our flag has ever seen. The resurgence of patriotism on September 11, 2001 has rekindled respect for our flag. Today, we see the Star-Spangled Banner wherever we turn, on homes, businesses, automobiles, and billboards. Such displays stimulate our love for our nation and for what it stands. They remind us of the sacrifices being made by the men and women of the armed forces around the world, and they are a tribute to the heroes of the police and fire departments the nation over. The greatest significance of our flag, however, lies in the influence it has in the hearts and minds of millions of people. It has wavered over unparalleled progress of a nation in developing democratic institutions, scientific and technological knowledge, education, and culture. It has served as a beacon for millions of poor and oppressed refugees abroad, and stands as a promise that the underprivileged will not be forgotten. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States? There can never be a definite answer to that question. There are people in the world who see it as a symbol of imperialism, others see it as a destiny of the people. But reference to these and familiar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag, which we honor and under which we serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and the shape of this nation. It has no other character than that which we give it from generation to generation. The choice is ours. Only love, true love of our fellow man, can create peace. The emblem and tokens of that love is the stars and stripes, the symbol of the American way of life. Our fathers, God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright, with our land be bright, with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God, our King."
Thank you, Warren. Lodge Esquire. How shall we further honor our flag?
The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth Companions as part of a patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942. And in 1954, the phrase "under God" was added.
Let us all stand and pledge ourselves never to forget the principles represented by this flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. In conclusion of this observance of Flag Day, let us rededicate ourselves to the flag of the United States of America, and may the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity ever increase in each of us. I now declare this service closed. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Carrie.
And I want to thank our videographer, John Harris, for joining us today. Thank you so much.